What's up? What's up? So, Summer Jam was on last night. Hot 97. It's a concert they do every year. New York City. They do it in the MetLife Stadium, and it kind of reminded me of the whole how dope New York City was because I'm a New York native. And New York, we started hip hop and we ran it in the 80s and the 90s, early mid 2000s. And it kind of bothers me when people be like, "Oh, rap beef is what ended New York City hip hop," and I'm like, nah, I mean that's the lazy theory to come up with because New York City niggas been beefing since the '80s, and beef is a strong word because who got stabbed, who got shot, who got batted down? Nobody, right? But competitive, competition. It goes back to Shan and KRS-One, Real Rock San. It goes back to, you know, that was the biggest rap beef before 50 came out. Nas and Jay Z, like New York's always been like that. I've never heard Biggie and Nas on the same song together. Have you? You know what I'm saying? Even before there was a disagreement. You know what I'm saying? It was just it's always been competitive. You have to kind of be from New York to understand that. The five boroughs, everybody think they boroughs better than the next. Everything's competitive. I think it was certain events that led to New York's demise in the mid 2000s when the South rose up. People don't take in a note to some of these events that happened. 2004, good example, Rockefeller splits up. Damon J part ways. Rockefeller was probably the most popular New York label at the time. That happened, that had an effect. Jay-Z retires in 2003. One of the biggest stars from the city retires, comes back with the R. Kelly joint a year later, but Jay-Z was basically semi-retired at that point. And I still consider Jay-Z semi-retired. He's not putting out music out 100 miles an hour like he once was. Jay-Z's retiring had a lot to do with the demise. Then you look at DMX, smoking bad crack and shit, in and out of jail. Rough Riders fell apart. They no longer had that chokehold on the streets and that effect that they once had. That era was dead. Wu-Tang faded out. Nori was chilling. Fat Joe went to Miami. G-Unit was falling apart. 50 was doing music and shit. I mean, movies and shit. Then Dipset. Dipset had everyone loved fucking Dipset. Dipset was the shit. They had the streets on smash. Everybody was dressing and talking like them. All that. Jewels was on fire. Cam's mother got sick, and we didn't even know at the time, but Cam was beefing with Fifth and then went to Florida and was hanging out with a little swimming pool. Cam took like 2 years off. You know what I'm saying? And left Jimmy and Jewels like orphan kids in the streets with no direction. So Dipset was gone. So all of these powerful, megastars that was running the city at the time was either chilling or semi-retired. Then Busta Rhymes had the Big Bang album. It flopped. He had his biggest song ever with Touch It, but the album flopped. So a lot of niggas was either flopping, sitting home with their feet kicked up, or was bullshitting. And while niggas was comfortable and laughing at the South, because the South was dancing and all that, everyone was laughing at the Franchise Boys and Crime Mob and D4L. Like, look at these silly niggas. But they was getting the clubs hot. And they was putting out real, hit music, whether you liked it or not. And while New York artists was kicking back, chilling, Lil Boosie and Lil Webby was hot. Jeezy had the streets on fire. T.I. was on fire. Gucci was getting hot. They was doing business and they were doing their thing while a lot of our mega artists was fucking chilling or on some other shit. And so it was like, it really, to me, that was what happened. It wasn't, rap beef. You know what I'm saying? What rap beef could take a whole city down? You know what I mean? That's the lazy theory that Ebro and some of these idiots come up with. That's nonsense. It was never like that. I think the dagger was '07 Kanye versus 50. That was the dagger. That wasn't a real beef. That was a marketing strategy. Clash of the Titans. They did the 106 in Park episode. I think it was the highest rated episode ever. It was a marketing plan with Def Jam and Interscope because both artists were going to release their albums like a week apart. They decided, let's do it together and make it a Clash, promo so both of these guys could sell records. And they both went platinum in 2 weeks. But at the time, Kanye was really on fire. 50 was slowing down. And it was kind of like a change of the landscape in the hip-hop sound. The style was changing. Everybody was either on that down south dancing shit, fucking with the trap movement, or whatever. New York City wasn't cool anymore. People wasn't trying to listen to New York City gangster rap anymore. That time it kind of went away, and 50 was the last mega New York star rapper. So they had to put him to rest in order to move on from New York and let the South take over. So that's what that really was. That was the end of, that was the dagger. That was the final dagger. And you haven't seen New York have another star like that since. Nicki Minaj comes close, but a lot of times you kind of forget Nicki's even from New York. Let's be for real. But he was the last one. So that was what that was about, the change of the landscape of the sound. That opened up the doors for artists like Drake and all these other niggas, because the style had to change in order for hip hop to go to another level. People just didn't want to hear that type of rap no more. It was time for a change at the end of the day. So that to me, that's what happened in New York City hip hop. There was nothing you could do about it. It didn't matter if niggas held hands and sung Kumbaya. The South, that time was coming. I mean, the South in the 90s, a lot of Southern niggas didn't have the confidence that they have now. Because Atlanta wasn't cool in the 90s like it is now. A lot of these Southern cities, they would envy New York because New York had the clothes first, we had the music, we had all the dope artists, yada, yada, yada. The South was so slow paced back then, and a lot of people just wasn't, I don't know if you call it an inferiority complex, but a lot of niggas wasn't really, they wanted to be us. The tables turned. Now Atlanta is just as cool as New York is, and Miami and all this other shit. I don't even think the South runs hip hop anymore. It's universal now because you got Drake from Canada, you got J. Cole from North Carolina, you got the Baby from Charlotte, you got Lil Baby from Atlanta, you got Kendrick from LA, it's all over now. But that was the last regional run of hip hop when the South took over in the mid 2000s. There's nothing you could really do about it. I knew it was happening when in 03 when Get Low from Lil Jon and the East Side Boys was the #1 song on Hot 97 that summer. I said, oh shit, these niggas is coming. Like, the South, they fucking play it. And like I said, niggas got comfortable, took their spot for granted, thought it was a joke, and the South came and took it. And, to me, those are the things that led up to the demise of New York City. It wasn't rap beef. I mean, who knows what could have happened if everybody was all clicked up. But New York was never clicked up. You always had issues, you know what I'm saying? I never heard Mobb Deep and the Lost Boys on the track together. Big Pun and Big E, or I remember when Big Pun and Jay was going at it. Like, it's always been like that. DMX and Jay had friction. It's always been like that, you know what I'm saying? So I just think it's kind of lazy when people try to dub that as if you guys wouldn't have been beefing, we would have still had. No, it was the South's time. Changes happen and shit evolves, and you got to move on. And that's all it was, man. So let me know what y'all think about that. Share, subscribe, like, all that good stuff.